Welcome to another live stream, my friends. Bitcoin has seen an ugly rejection today, so as we discussed yesterday, as a very real possibility in yesterday's live stream. So those of you who were here with me yesterday and those of you in my Telegram who got the signal that I was starting to build a short should hopefully be sitting in a juicy ass profit right now, or at the very least, hopefully you didn't FOMO long right into resistance, because as I mentioned, with Bitcoin at all-time highs, so are people's emotions. So what exactly happened here and what can we expect from Bitcoin moving forward? Honestly, guys, after that ugly rejection, I do have my concerns. Not to be your typical X account claiming that the cycle is over every time we see a 2 or 3% dip, but because of how and where this rejection actually happened, I have a little bit of concerns. But that being said, there's still some hope out there, so I don't want to sound too pessimistic yet. So with that, let's take a quick look at a few charts, shall we? So first things first, guys, as I mentioned in yesterday's stream, I've actually been warning about this ever since we bottomed, ever since I took my long down here at just below 109K. Basically, I was targeting my purple and eventually my red resistance boxes, where they would be levels of interest for building some sort of a hedge short, basically. And that's exactly what I went over yesterday. Basically, the fact that we are in a swing fail zone here. Yesterday, when I took this short, you guys, I wasn't even bearish. I took it just specifically from a chart perspective, looking at risk reward and looking at, I would rather treat resistance as resistance. I would rather be a seller or shorting at resistance rather than FOMOing long into some sort of a breakout, because as we all know by now, typically speaking, the market chops sideways a lot more than it just gets a one directional breakout. So a lot of people got very bullish and got a ton of FOMO as we broke those all-time highs there. And I started warning that, I think that Bitcoin really needs to clear 127.2 thousand. That would be my 115. That would be invalidation for my macro bearish setup. So basically, as we get into that fib pocket, I was looking for a hedge because I still am in part of my long from down here, you guys. At this point, I only have 10% still running. I closed a little bit more in resistance just because things were starting to look a little bit dicey there. I wanted to lock in some more profits, but I did open that hedge short as well. My short is actually significantly heavier than my long at this point, but this is also risk-free at this point. I've started taking profits. I still have about 3/4 of my short running just in case, because like I said, there is some very serious concerns I have in the market right now. However, that being said, since I started locking in profits, my stop loss is at break even. I have nothing to worry about there. If we do see some sort of a reversal and we break the 4-year cycle and all these things happen, then at that point, basically, I will be hanging on to my long, and my long will take the reins once again. Until we break that level, I just have my concerns because that's just a resistance level. So again, it's not that I was even bearish here. I was just playing the charts for what they are and just basically looking for that risk reward setup, right? Just looking at playing resistance when we are at resistance, just like I was playing support at support. A lot of people got very bearish as we traded into support, where I gave you that long setup, just like a lot of people got very FOMO and bullish right at resistance, where I started warning that, I don't want to be looking for longs at this point. At this point, I'm more looking at taking some profits off my longs. If we shoot higher, great. That would be fantastic for the portfolio, you guys. I'm not sitting here saying that I sold everything. I'm not a total perma bear at this point by any means, but I will trade the charts for what they are. No emotions attached. So yeah, that was basically my thoughts there, just looking at it for resistance. And guys, on top of that, I had outlined that there was a lower time frame Stuber fib setup that was lining up with the macro time frame swing fail zone. So, we even got right up to that same fib pocket, right? We have a swing fail zone inside a bigger swing fail zone. So we just have overlapping confluences there. So that's just, again, another reason why I was happy to hang on to the short. I actually had some more shorts laddered a little bit higher. I never did. I would have got a third entry here. Obviously, I entered at the 786 and 886. So my entry is right in the middle of that fib pocket. I never took the third entry here. I actually had 3 more entries laddered up towards my macro swing fail invalidation level, and we never ended up taking those. But that's fine. Still a beautiful position. And it took a little bit of time to play out, right? Even this morning, I was starting to question myself. The fact that we got this little reversal and we started trading to the upside, but notice that we just got that retest of that Stuber fib pocket once again with a perfect rejection, and a violent one at that. So guys, that's basically one of the main concerns I have in this market right now, is just the fact that, we got rejected on a resistance retest after we broke a very serious uptrend that we had, right? I mean, I've mentioned these levels so many times at this point, but basically this was our high, higher low. The fact that we broke this level, that was a very serious sign to me that we would at least get some sort of a rejection the first time we test resistance. And even though we pushed a little bit higher, we are still just we only made it about halfway into that swing fail, liquidity grab zone, fake out zone, whatever you want to call it. We only got halfway through it. And we obviously never did get to that 127.2K. We actually got up to around 126.2K. So we needed, and that's the thing, guys. And as I mentioned yesterday, it's not so much that I was overly bearish about this, but I would have liked for the bulls to be able to push just 2% higher. That's the thing. It's not that I was willing to completely ignore all bullish signs in the market, and I was just going to be one of those guys who says, nope, the market cycle's over because I say so. No, all I needed was Bitcoin to push a little bit higher, 2% higher, and I could have thrown this, basically this bearish theory out the window, because that would have invalidated my setup. But the fact that it never did, that's just a beautiful thing to me. And for those of you who are interested in trading based on charts and want to see more examples of my favorite trading strategies, some of my trade setup ideas, much like this one, and also the long from down here, both these positions, both these beautiful swing positions, guys, I laid out in my private Telegram channel. You want more examples of how I view market structure? You just want more of my thoughts on the market in general? Do yourselves a favor and get in my Telegram by scanning the QR code or clicking the link in the description down below. On top of that, guys, my partners at BloFin are currently giving this promotion for you guys, for all of my followers, as basically a launch promotion for this new YouTube channel. And guys, for those of you who do appreciate these live streams, you're excited about this new channel where I'm doing several live streams a week and all that sort of good stuff, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss these live streams. And yeah, like I said, if you're signed up under me with BloFin, new and existing members, do yourselves a favor. If this is something that you want to take advantage of, like I said, BloFin is currently running this pretty sweet promo for you guys. So yeah, guys, at this point, like I said, just with how the structure is lining up at this point, I do have some concerns as well. You shouldn't be too surprised, but if I bring up the MDX Trend Master here, notice that we did print a lower sell signal as we got that retest of that Stuber fib and a nasty rejection. So just a lot of things lining up that there's something bearish going on here. Even with this buy signal right now, it's obviously a significantly lower buy signal. And at this point, basically, from a bearish perspective, I wouldn't really want to see us lose this resistance around 125.1K. I would want to see us get rejected before that to continue the downtrend. But honestly, even that, there's still obviously a little bit of resistance. But yeah, there's obviously a nasty downtrend on the lower time here that has formed today. The macro time frame, I mean, we're getting those warning signs. And guys, this is one that I have been mentioning a few times recently, but the even more macro time frames, looking at entire market cycles here and what has happened the previous couple of market cycles. Now, before I go into this, I want to make this clear. This does not have to happen again. When we're playing charts, we're just playing our probabilities. We're looking at similarities, all that sort of good stuff. The last two market cycles had gone from bear market low to bull market peak. Both of these last two cycles lasted exactly 152 weeks. Where we currently are in this market cycle with that big rejection, we are currently at 150 weeks So basically, if the 4-year cycle is going to remain intact and we are going to hold on to those 4-year crypto cycles, we are within a week or two of where the last couple of cycles would have topped out. So again, maybe we end up breaking this 4-year cycle, because let's be honest, we never did see any sort of crazy parabolic run. Bitcoin has done a fairly good job of just staircasing higher, building support along the way. So at this point, if we can just staircase a little bit higher, break that 127.2K I was talking about, and actually continue staircasing, setting higher highs and higher lows, it's very possible that this market cycle is going to last an extended amount of time and just continue trading in a more healthy approach to the upside. I would love to see that. But as it stands now, I mean, we just have the, the 4-hour time frame, which would also be the same on the daily time frame. We have the 15-minute. We just have so many levels, just so many confluences of resistance, when on a timing perspective, we are also running out of time of our 4-year cycle. Now, typically speaking, I'm not a time analyst. I more so look at the market structure and, see how it's reacting and that sort of thing. But the fact that how the market cycle, how the price action is lining up with the time frame here, that's the reason why I have such a strong concern about where this market currently is at this point. And if we do end up having our bear market start here, I would expect a downtrend for approximately a year, just like the previous ones. If we go from this bull market peak to where we bottomed, 52 weeks, perfectly 1 year. We go to our next cycle from our bull market peak to our bear market bottom, well, about 53, 54 weeks. So basically a year. So if this is the top, I would expect something very similar, approximately a year of downward price action. Obviously, you'd get some bounces along the way and that sort of thing. And we're going to have to see, maybe with ETFs and that sort of thing, maybe it is just shorter pullbacks. Maybe we do continue trending higher, like I said. But yeah, just some serious concerns in the market. One thing that was making me question my bearish theories, and I was talking about this yesterday a little bit, was that retail was actually quite short heavy as we approached resistance. And that led me to think that maybe that's some rocket fuel where we could actually blast through that resistance. However, look what we're seeing right now, you guys. We are starting to see that retail longs are coming in heavily on this dip. Retail is very aggressively trying to long this dip right now. And if this ends up crossing to the upside, crossing the red, basically the green is retail longs, the red is retail shorts. You can see that retail is backing off the shorts and they're starting to pile into longs. And, with how the market structure looks and with the timing of the market, if retail decides that they want to go long heavy and we see this cross to the upside here, that, in my opinion, is a lot of fuel for the fire. And that would just add confluence to my opinion that we could be in a very rough spot right now. That being said, guys, I do feel a little bit different about altcoins, just because typically at the end of a market cycle, you see altcoins go for their finale run. Typically speaking, while Bitcoin ends up pulling back, you see altcoins basically following suit. So it could very well be the same thing. But I do expect that when the market finds its footing, when we get any sort of dead cat bounce out of Bitcoin, when we just see the bulls get their footing at all, that's where I would expect altcoins to get much more aggressive moves to the upside than Bitcoin at this phase of the cycle. Obviously, we're going to have to see what happens. I'm just going based off the last couple of cycles. So we're going to see how that happens. But I'm still very open to the idea of more so adding longs into altcoins on these pullbacks rather than Bitcoin, just because of where we're at in the market cycle. But guys, yesterday I was warning about a few altcoins as well. Ethereum, we were basically trading right at my 786 yesterday. I outlined this resistance box, last week already. I was talking about a potential rejection up here. So again, not saying that I'm necessarily bearish on Ethereum, but I was warning that it's time to be cautious because we're at resistance. Same thing with Solana. I had mentioned that the Stuber fib reached its target, right? We reached the 214. We basically wicked to it absolutely perfectly. And now seeing a bit of a rejection, even lost some structure here. So there's some red flags there. Hype as well. I mean, I haven't touched this fib since the stream yesterday. Still targeting, potentially a little bit lower. I would like to see hype end up dropping closer to 42 US dollars, even 42.50, somewhere in there, down to 31 or 37.90. As long as we can stay above that, if we lose $37.90, I will start to have some concerns about this trend on hype as well. But this little bit of a rejection, not too uncalled for. We're just working our way back down to retest support, basically. Aster, I am currently eyeing up a bit of a long position down here. Might not end up getting it. What's the trend master saying? We do have that higher. I did have a bit of a scalp earlier, but it got stopped at break even. But we do have this higher buy signal on Aster on the 5-minute. So we're still seeing those signs of life from the altcoins on lower time frames, which is quite impressive for the type of move that Bitcoin has had today. So just another reason why I think it's not necessarily lights out for altcoins yet. So basically, Aster, if we could stay above $1.98, I would feel quite good about this trend on the 5-minute at this point. I would like to see us pull back a little further just because it's so volatile. Playing something like this with leverage, that's obviously a very big move to our invalidation if we were to long from here. Basically looking at a 5% move to the downside to even invalidate this little 5-minute range, right? So assets like Aster, very volatile. Be careful when trading those. Always double check what you're in, how far away your invalidations are, how much money you're going to lose if your trade setup doesn't play out in your favor and all that sort of stuff, because these ranges are much larger than they appear, you guys. Let me know in the chat how you are all feeling this fine day. I know the market's probably got people's emotions on edge right now, but let me know how you're doing. Again, if you guys appreciate my level-headed approach, me sharing some of my personal favorite trade strategies, which obviously have been absolutely crushing it, both the long and the short at this point, just both beautiful swing calls there. So if you do appreciate me sharing my insights on the market, you guys, do me a favor, hit that like button. It goes a long ways for the algorithm on such a new YouTube channel like this. And of course, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss these live streams. Let me just catch up on the chat a little bit. Adrian loves to see the dump. Dump it like there's no tomorrow. I'm here for it if it happens, man. Like I said, my stops are at break even, and I am very happy to see this market absolutely go to Nuketown. But if it doesn't, I'm very happy about that too. Obviously, playing bull markets, especially when they go parabolic, it's very fun. Altcoin season is very fun, but there is a special feeling. I feel really good about making this call while so many people were starting to get that FOMO and just getting blinded, have been blindsided by this rejection, which was just an obvious resistance level. It's not that there was anything crazy I laid out. This was simply just looking at market structure for what it is, which is exactly what I show plenty of examples, how I pull my fibs and how I look at market structure in the private Telegram channel, you guys. How is everyone doing? Habu, great to see you here again, my friend. Love that you keep coming back. I love that there's so many familiar faces here, you guys. That means you guys obviously seem to enjoy what I'm throwing out here. So I love to see it. Thank you so much for being here with me, you guys. What a call. Thank you very much. Glad that I had that stream yesterday. I'm really glad that I was able to get that call out live, because we were trading very close to my entry on that retest when I ended up calling that out on my stream yesterday. So hopefully a lot of you guys were able to profit off that. This guy's some kind of fortune teller. Thank you. I wish, but sometimes it seems that way. Sometimes you can read the future with colorful charts, right? Seeing short retail flip on this dip on the indicator. I guess I just went over that. Am I wrong to think that we dip a little further? Honestly, Habu, I feel like we could dip a lot further. That being said, obviously getting into a late short at this point gets very dangerous, right? I mean, the nice, easy setup with a nice, tight invalidation already played out. That's why I mentioned in my Telegram yesterday morning, I was starting to build a short. That's why in my stream yesterday, I mentioned I was building a short, just because that was the setup. From here, yeah, there might be some scalp entries coming up or whatever. It just gets a little bit dangerous because there is going to be a lot of retail that is scared that they missed this move, and they are going to start shorting, and it's going to be late. And then we're going to get some sort of a bounce and retest resistance or whatever. Very likely to happen eventually. But I do think overall that will probably end up going further. Honestly, I don't know for sure. And that's a part of trading. That's the thing. A lot of traders pretend that they know what's going to happen. And I was very clear yesterday with taking this short that I wasn't bearish, right? Like I said at the start of this video, I was not bearish when I took that short. I was simply playing the charts from a systematic point of view, no emotions attached, and it paid. Right? That's all there is to it. It's paying. And on top of that, guys, just something else that just caught my eye here is technically we lost a uptrend that I never even noticed before. But technically speaking, and this is micro analyzing, but here was our high. We set a higher high here, and we set another higher high in that swing fail pocket. That means this is our confirmed higher low, and we lost that structure. And look where we're currently struggling to get back above. So that's even another bearish point that I just noticed on the 4-hour chart here, which could be a very bad sign for Bitcoin. So you guys know that typically when I'm looking for a Stuber setup, I look for this kind of structure break to look for shorts, but I almost never take that momentum short upon breaking that structure level. That's where I more so start looking for a fib pull, something like this. So if we do get a bounce, just understand that Bitcoin is still not in the clear. In fact, look where the swing fail would currently be if we ended up getting some sort of a bounce from these levels. Just notice exactly where the swing fail is of this very small Stuber fib. That 115 is right next to our much larger 115. So again, just added confluence. So if we do see some signs of life from the bulls and we get a bounce here, just understand that we broke an uptrend. We broke this level, and that means that a retest of resistance would not be too uncalled for. Basically, if this was a 5-minute chart, I would be looking for my shorts up here, basically. On the 4-hour chart, there may be a little more momentum, and maybe it has a harder time getting that reaction rally, but that would be, from a structural point of view, that would still be absolutely, there would be nothing wrong about that. Even from a bearish perspective, a lot of people would start celebrating as we got our bearish retests. They would be laughing at the bears, saying, bears are getting wrecked, blah, blah, blah. When in reality, we could just be after a bearish structure break, could be going for a retest of that resistance. So just something to watch out for there. Was excluded from Stu signals even with 3,000 USDT in trades. I will mention that to my partners who run that. But you must not have had the requirements for the month. I'm guessing maybe that was maybe you added a couple months together or something, but we can definitely look into it for you. If there should be, if you go to the Financial Summits YouTube page, you should have a contact for them in Telegram. And because basically the group is still run by the Financial Summit. I still have my partnership through them and through BloFin and everything. I'm just streaming on a new channel, but they handle all the back end stuff. So get a hold of them if you can. I will also put it on their radar. I'll take a note of this and mention it to them. Stu, why do you start with 2015? What do you mean starting with 2015? Oh, from back here, just for when I looked at these signals, just basically because I'm looking at the last 2 market cycles. And that's why I also say that this cycle does not have to play out the exact same. This cycle back here, this one was not the same amount of time, right? That was actually about 50 bars shy. That was closer to 100 weeks. But yeah, I was just looking for similarities of the last couple cycles is all, where leverage is involved in that sort of thing, because the previous cycle never had leverage. It was a lot different. But yeah, just looking at the last couple cycles, basically. Hurley, good to see you here, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Brian, good to see you here again on the new channel. Great to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Habu got stopped out. Will I add short if new lows come in? If anything really obvious catches my eye, I might take new shorts. I really don't want to lose this position, because if this ends up being the cycle top, which again, it does not have to be. I want to be very clear about that. This does not need to be the start of the bear market. It's just that there's a lot of warning signs that it could be. I don't want to ruin this entry. I want to try and hang on to this position for a while if I can. So if anything, I am going to be taking other positions on different accounts. I have several accounts ready to trade, basically, in case anything catches my eye. So yeah, I will be looking for other shorts as well, as the MDX Trendmaster, for example. Like, even here, if we end up printing a lower sell signal on the MDX Trendmaster on the 5-minute, for example, if I happen to see it, I will end up taking another scalp short, basically, with tight invalidation. As it stands right now, this would be my resistance. But if we end up climbing first, that's going to change. It totally depends where that new signal comes into play. If we get a big Stuber bounce, right? Like maybe we get something like this from this level, who knows? But if something obvious catches my eye, I will take additional shorts on other accounts. But yeah, like I said, I don't really want to ruin my nice swing trade, because that is just such a perfect entry so far. I really don't want to wreck that position. But honestly, guys, be really careful out there. It's very dangerous right now. The market's obviously very volatile. I do expect lower prices, but there is going to be bounces along the way. So just be careful out there. Things are very volatile. Again, just like I was talking about with Aster, always be sure to check how far away your invalidations are to your trade setups, so that you know how much you're going to lose if the trade goes against you, so that you don't, all of a sudden you think that a range was smaller than it actually was, and you're wondering why your stop never triggered, but you actually got liquidated on a trade or something like that because you're over leveraged. Obviously, be very careful with that kind of stuff. Hurley still betting on more of a pullback. I'm right there with you, brother. I really think that this move is going to be a nasty one, but very happy to be wrong about that, right? Like I was talking, even though my short's heavier, if it gets stopped at break even and my long takes back the reins and we climb higher and altcoins start going nuts and we go parabolic, you know what? I'm here for it. But this is a very stress-free position to be in right now, is that I don't feel like I need to find a new position right now. I'll still be looking for more, obviously, but there's so much panic in the market, and I'm sitting here stress-free and risk-free. Both of these stop losses are break even. Both positions I've taken some profits off of. It's a beautiful situation to be in. Tone sees a correction to 120K and then 140K. Very possible. I don't necessarily agree with it, but if it happens, that's totally fine too. That's the thing. I am more of, I like to react to the price action. And until I see some sort of a lower high break on the shorter time frames, or let's say even the hourly, for example, unfortunately, we don't have any structure like that yet. But if we, let's say, did something like this, where we set a lower low, then we actually have a confirmed high that we could break, in which case I would be looking at long in a pullback, something like that. But at this point, we just don't have that, right? It was a straight shot down from our highs, basically. So at this point, I just don't have a target in mind at this point. I'm just planning to, basically, anytime I see any sort of bullish warning from indicators, or some sort of a big structure break on the 1 hour, anything like that, then I'll be looking at locking in some more profits, basically, as we go. But at this point, I'm hoping to hang on to that short for a while. Ooh, absolutely, Brian. Since you were a mod over in the other channel, let's get you back as one here. You should be added as a mod manager now. Hurley, I know you had also mentioned it, and I will add you as well. Since we go way back, fellas. Yeah, love it. Would a fib pulled from 108,640 be relevant to take profit for a short? 108,640, 108,640. Oh, so basically where we bottomed out. That is actually something I was going to mention as a potential target. And I mean, we are going to here. Actually, I am going to just open up a new chart and destroy the thing. I am going to remove all my drawings. And yes, one thing that I would be considering is technically from our high here, even though we got this swing fail, it is still a higher high. So I would still be willing to pull a fib from actually, I would personally go from the lowest point between the two. So I'd be going from down just slightly lower, around 107.2K, somewhere in there. I would have a fib laid out something like that. And yeah, absolutely. If we end up dumping all the way down here, I will 100% be taking more profits off of that short position. I think it's obvious that we would get some sort of a bounce at that level, but I don't know if it's going to be to new all-time highs, basically. That's yet to be decided. We're going to have to see. There's obviously a ton of what ifs between now and then, but yeah, definitely a level on my radar at this point. Sorry, I actually don't have time to look at a bunch more altcoins and gold and the SPX and all that sort of stuff. I actually have to get going, you guys. I did want to just basically, oh, Adrian, sure, I'll get you in there too, buddy. Why not? There we go. Got a few mods now. Right on. Thanks for volunteering, guys. Should be good with 3 for now. But yeah. Guys, I will go into some more of those charts maybe tomorrow. I'm going to plan on doing another live stream. But yeah, I'm kind of short on time here, but I did want to get this video out to you guys real quickly here. So yeah, with that being said, guys, just really be careful out there. Things are extremely volatile at this time. And yeah, just again, always make sure you know basically if a trade's going to go against you, know how big your invalidation is, know how much you're going to lose on that position if it goes wrong. Don't get liquidated. Honestly, when it comes to trading, people who are new to trading, in my opinion, shouldn't even be using leverage. Who was that? Nuno. I will mention to the team about you getting kicked out of the group for not having enough trading volume on BloFin there. I will see what's happening there. And like I said, you can reach out to the Financial Summit as team as well on Telegram, and they should be able to help you, but I will mention it to them. And guys, as I mentioned, my partners at BloFin are currently giving my followers this promotion just for the launch of the new channel and all that sort of stuff. So very cool. If you want to take advantage, there it is. And yeah, as I mentioned, if you want access to my Telegram channel, you want to see more examples of how I pull fibs, how I look at market structure, just how my overall thoughts on the market in general for calls like such as these. Do yourselves a favor, scan that QR code, get in there. Hope to see you guys there. With that, guys, if you did appreciate this video, this live stream, my live streams before, you appreciate this channel and my level-headed approach and sharing some of my personal trade strategies with you guys, do me a favor, hit that like button. Goes a long way for the algos for a new channel like this. And of course, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. With that, thank you so much for being here with me once again, my friends. Seriously appreciate doing these live streams with you guys. Honestly acts as a bit of a trading journal for myself, helps me talk through my own emotions, helps me keep that level head in place. So for that, I thank you guys. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.